First thing first, why don't you introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit more about your chronic illness or disability?
Thank you so much for asking me to be a part of your amazing project where you're raising so much awareness for people living with chronic illnesses. I'm really honoured and I'm really happy to share my story with you. So let me introduce myself. My name is Ellie, I'm 23 and I live just outside of London here in the UK. I was 16 when I was diagnosed with multiple chronic illnesses. So my diagnoses are gastroparesis, intestinal dysmotility, and those two resulted in me being diagnosed with intestinal failure. I'm also diagnosed with POTS syndrome and hypermobility syndrome, and all the trauma that I've had to deal with through my living with chronic illness has meant that I have struggled with my mental health, and this year I've been diagnosed with OCD, anxiety and PTSD. I'm also reliant on TPN, which is a form of artificial nutrition. So I have a Hickman line, which is basically just a line that goes into my chest. It sits directly above my heart, and the TPN, which is a form of IV nutrition, goes through the line and basically makes sure that I have everything I need to sustain me and keep me well.
So you created a Note of Hope, as your Instagram bio says, a supportive space for the chronic illness community. Can you please explain it to us what it is and why did you decide to create this?
I'm so happy to talk about A Note of Hope. So A Note of Hope is my passion project, and as you so rightly said, Hannah, our kind of tagline is sharing stories from the chronic illness community, and we are dedicated to giving the chronic illness community a voice. So we like to focus on friendship and finding the positives wherever we can. I think that's super important and what our community needs more of. So we encourage people to share in their stories not only their pain, the things that they've been through, the hardships of living with an illness, but also the things that have brought them hope, their joys, their passions, their achievements, anything that, with the ultimate goal to inspire and give others who might be reading hope too. I created A Note of Hope thinking about what I myself, when I was going through my hardest time, would have wanted to read or see, or a community that I really needed when I was at my lowest. And I'm so proud of the work that we've done. I'm so proud of the community we've built. I'm really excited for all our future projects, and if anyone who's watching this or is a part of your project, it would mean the world to me if they could go and just check it out, because there are some amazing people on our project.
Do you mind when people are curious and ask about your illness?
Do you know, I am pretty okay with people being curious about my chronic conditions and asking questions, as long as they are asked with good intentions and they're being kind. I think that's the main thing. I think one thing that I've definitely learned throughout 7 years of living with these illnesses is that people generally are trying to be nice, even if they ask something that is a bit makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. I see on Instagram a lot of people say, "You look so well," and I know in the chronic illness community that is seen. It's a difficult one. I understand, I really understand. But I try and remember that people who don't have these conditions, I think they're just trying to be nice. It's hard to know what to say. But yeah, as long as people are asking with good intentions, being kind to me, and I feel comfortable, then I'm more than happy to answer questions about my health. When I was younger, I struggled a lot because obviously my main kind of health concern is my gastro, and that involved a lot of embarrassing things. I found it difficult to even share with doctors when they would ask questions about bowel movements and how many times I've been sick. It was a lot to get used to, because I think for so long we're taught that things like that are not things we should talk about. But I think as I've got older, it's got easier for me to talk about them, and through connecting with other people who have the same kind of illnesses as me, it's made me feel more comfortable.
Do you know any good disability representation in the world of social media or generally in the entertainment industry?
Representation is a difficult one because I can't deny that over the past couple of years particularly, there has been such an increase, a much needed increase in people with disabilities being represented, whether that's in the media or through modelling. And it's fantastic, and it makes me feel so seen to have people who are going through something similar to me talking about these issues. So some people that I find really inspiring are Michelle Elman, who is an author who promotes body positivity but also is very open about her struggles with her illnesses right from her childhood up until being in her 20s. The other one that I really connected with was Bow Babe, which is Dame Deborah here in the UK, who unfortunately has passed away now, but she did so much amazing work for getting people to talk about things like stoma bags and not to be embarrassed about talking about their poo, you know? But yeah, I think that representation is important, and I am proud of how far we have come in the past few years, but I still think there's more work to do.
I would like to ask you, have you ever met somebody in a hospital, meaning a patient or a doctor or a medical professional that changed your perspective on life?
I have met so many people, too many people to name, that have changed me as a person, changed my perspective on life, reignited hope when I was at my lowest. In the past 7 years I've been living with these illnesses. I have spent a lot of time in hospital. I think the longest period of time I spent in hospital was about 3 or 4 months. And the people that you meet there, they become like family. And there is a sense of camaraderie. You all come together, you all share everything, and you all understand each other. I could have conversations with people that I meet in hospital with nobody else that I know in my life, even close members of my family. I remember meeting another mum and her daughter, and the mum said to me, "We make the most of every good day. If they're having a good day and we have the day off, we'll just jump in the car and go on holiday somewhere and make the most of that good time." And that is something that I have taken with me. I seize every good day, every good moment, whether it's just so I can take my dog for a walk or spend some time with a friend. But I make the most of every good day, and I always remember that.
Would you say that the government in your country helps people with disabilities enough?
The people that I met in hospital also inspired the work I do for A Note of Hope. You meet so many people with such incredible stories, and there's like, you just wish, you want to shout from the rooftops how amazing these people are. And too often people with chronic illnesses get forgotten, left behind. Society is so cruel to us as a community. And a part of A Note of Hope is that I didn't want people to be forgotten. I wanted to give people a voice if they wanted it. And it's been amazing to be able to share stories of my friends I met all those years ago in hospital, and also get to know them better too again. Like, you hear a little bit of their story, but when you hear all of it, it just hits home how amazing we all are. Just before I go, I wanted to say thank you so much again for asking me to be a part of this. I've had so much fun answering the questions, and they've all been really thought-provoking and have raised so many important points that I think everybody in the chronic illness community is very grateful for you raising awareness. So anybody who's watching this, my name again is Ellie. You can find me at A Note of Hope if you just type that in on Instagram, or my Instagram, my personal Instagram, is at elsbells99 _. But yeah, thank you so much again, and thank you for letting me share my story and tell you a little bit about me. Bye!